Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what is up? I hope you're having a great day today. Wherever you are in the world, I'm here in San Diego, as most of you know. It's gorgeous, although man, it's starting to heat up. All right, today's episode, I just want to prime you guys right now. I was excited to do this episode with today's guest, and I will tell you, this guest drops a ton of different nuggets. If you know to listen, I think you have to be able to recognize the nuggets in here, and many of you will, some of you won't. Now, and again, there's something for everybody in this. Overall, I will tell you this. Overall, both him and I talk in this episode about how you guys as real estate agents, or if you do something else, that's okay, but why we should all think like internet marketers. Stop thinking like realtors. Start thinking like internet marketers. So, with that being said, we talk about how he went from really being offline, right, doing open houses, to being an internet marketer, going online. We talk about how his focus is trying to reach people while at the point, I should say, that they have intent. Now, did you see what I just did there? I stuttered a little bit. Now, you'll hear me do that on this episode. My brain was working overtime trying to ask the right question, and you'll hear me stop and stammer and stutter. Okay, we also talk about why – hold on a second, look at my notes. How he gave away a piece of his liver and lived. I didn't understand how he did that, but we talked about that. Why you should always, when you're creating content, why you should always hold back a bit. Okay, and we talk about how to do that. Now, in this episode, we talk about scripts, we talk about specific strategies. I think you guys are going to take a lot of notes on this. When to door knock, how to door knock, what the script is. We talk about, look, you know what we talk about? We talk about hacking things, right? Hacking things. How to write one blog post and then repurpose that blog post for your G Plus account, your Facebook account, all the way down to getting a full 1,500 blog post, all the way down to a 140 character tweet. So I hope you like it. I had fun with this guy. This is a guy, I'm starting now, we're a year and a half into this show, and I'm starting to actually have some of our old guests back. So this is a guy I think I want to have back. So I hope you like it. Now, here's the deal. My Twitter handle. Hit me on Twitter. We have a pretty active community on Twitter. The hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. My Twitter handle is @SuperAgentsLive. So I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to meet you. Look, normally at this point, I tell you, if you want to level up with radio, go to realestateradioexperts.com. You should do that. Check it out. Watch some of the videos I have there. Learn about radio. It works. But I'm going to do that short form. Here's what I want to talk to you about. You know what? Speaking of thinking like an internet marketer, I would love to help you guys do that. And one of the ways, and when it comes to being social, using social, and really because social is free, right? G Plus, Twitter, and Facebook, it's free. But not everybody knows how to use these things properly. And if you go, hey, Toby, yeah, I'm on Facebook, man, I post, man. Oh, hey, I know how to use Facebook. I'm telling you, almost none of you do. So don't take offense to that. So here is the deal, man. I'm putting together a course for you guys, and it's literally going to be, I'm working, I just finished the product scope. There's like 15 different modules, and it goes, there's a beginning of like a 101, which most of you guys know the 101. So that part's not for you. But then we get into some intermediate stuff, strategies for building engagement, how to get an easy 1,000 likes, how to build authority on Facebook, running contests, and then, even getting leads, right? Getting leads, doing split testing, all that stuff. And then we get into the expert stuff, right? And the expert stuff is creating ads, how to buy ads, how to create ads, how to use the Power Editor, how to build a custom audience, a lookalike audience, how to use retargeting for Facebook ads. So we're going to do, this is going to be done. We're going to release this. Once this gets released, it's going to be, we're going to do it in 3 ways. First 100 people to buy it, they're going to buy it for $197. All you guys are going to get a smoking deal. And, I'm going to let you buy it that cheap because I want testimonials from you guys. The next 100 is going to be $297. And then we're going to cap out at $397. So if you're interested, hit me with an email. I'll put you on the list. I'll mark you as early. And that's that. All right. Hey, guys, let's get to it. I hope you like it. Today on the show, I'm excited to talk with today's guest. Now, today's guest has an interesting model. He's one of the expansion kind of model. He has a team in Spokane, Washington, with 6 people. He has another team in the Tri-Cities area, which I'm not sure what that is, but it's another expansion office with 4 agents. Now, number of transactions. Last year, they did 130. Now, they have bigger goals this year. They're shooting for 171. Now, it's interesting why it's 171 and not 170 or 175. We'll get into why that is. Total volume, 22 million. I'm thrilled to welcome, as my guest, Bo Appele. Hey, Bo, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. Now, first, did I butcher your last name? Was it Appele? Is that okay?
It's actually Appele. It's Hawaiian.
I felt like I knew I was doing something wrong when I saw Ohana Real Estate, but I'm like, oh, wait a second, Ohana, but you're in Spokane, Washington. Okay, so Bo, listen, I've given the audience just a brief overview, kind of a nuts and bolts overview of what you're doing with your business. But take a minute before we get into that. I want to know who Bo is, right? What is Bo all about? I always want to know the man behind the machine. So tell us a little about who you are, and then we'll get into your business.
Well, I was born and raised in Hawaii. My father is Hawaiian. My mother is Caucasian. I went to school in Southern California, and within my first year, I learned of my mother's sickness. She was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver and had to get a transplant. And I found out I was the only person in our family that was a match to be a potential living donor candidate for a transplant. So I left school, and my parents moved up to Spokane to be closer to the transplant center in Denver, Colorado. And I came up to Spokane to go through some testing, and we actually set a transplant date. At the time, it was about 1 in 500 living donor candidates had fatal complications. So we just figured, let's have one last Christmas together just in case, even though the odds are pretty good. So we scheduled it for January, and about 3 weeks before Christmas, we got a call, and they had one from an accident that matched her. So she got that one, and I became her backup, the highest probability of rejections in the first couple of years after transplant. So I stuck around just in case she needed me, which thankfully she didn't. And as a result, I took up roots in Spokane. I started a family. I started my business, and eventually started expanding my business. So when I first started, I started with a pretty big company here locally, and their methods and strategies were a little archaic. And I started looking around for other options and kind of realizing that the real estate market had dramatically changed with the internet, and that doing open houses and taking floor time wasn't necessarily the best use of my time. So I started looking into internet marketing. And
wait, hold on. Man, I have to stop you, Bo. I really do. Let's go back to this liver thing, okay?
Okay.
A human has one liver. What? How? Like what?
Okay.
Why were you?
What they would have done is they would have taken 60% of mine and given it to her, which actually would have been a full liver for her because she's a little bit smaller than I am, well, a lot bit smaller than I am. And the liver is actually the only organ in the body that grows back.
Really?
It's pretty amazing. And it grows back 10% for every week. So within 6 weeks, I would have had a new liver, or 60% of a new liver anyway. And that's how they accomplish that.
That is amazing. I had no clue. I literally tuned out from you talking, and I started looking because I was like, well, hold on a second. This guy's going to give up his liver. So that's amazing. But so you moved to Denver because you guys were close to this clinic that knew how to do this. For her to get her liver that she has today, somebody had to be an organ donor.
Yeah. We moved to Spokane. She's originally from Spokane, and so she wanted to be close to her parents up here.
Okay.
And the transplant center in Colorado was close enough that she could take the flight down there as soon as we were ready. And they happened to get one from a younger guy. I think he was 26 when he passed away in, I believe, a motorcycle accident.
Wow.
And that one happened to match her. And the funny thing with livers is that they have to be a match. You can't just take anyone's liver. So she was actually number 3 on the list nationally at the time, and it didn't match the first 2 people, so she got that one. And we kind of joke about it that she now has some male tendencies. She likes to drink beer and watch football.
Is that true? Is that true?
No, it's not true, but it's kind of funny.
Okay, all right, got it. There was a movie.
Yeah, she's doing great.
Yeah, there was a movie like that, wasn't there? Where like there was that kind of anyhow. Let's not talk about movie. Okay, all right. So thank you, man. I appreciate you clearing that up. So let's go back. So you now what drew you to real estate? Why real estate?
Well, I had always had an entrepreneur spirit. My parents had always been in business for themselves, and I knew when I was in college that I didn't want to work for someone else. And the reason that I guess I never went back to college after going through this experience with my mother is when I was in college, I kind of was looking around thinking, I'm learning how to work for someone else. I'm not really sure of exactly what I want to do, and I think I'm kind of wasting my money until I decide what I want to do. I had gone through several other ventures previous to getting into real estate. I started a T-shirt company with a friend of mine, and that was more for fun. Didn't really create a lot of profitability. And I'd also opened a restaurant with another friend of mine, and that was fun, but it was also a heck of a lot of work, and I was basically married to the business, working 70-plus hours a week. And in the restaurant industry, a lot of the employees are younger kids, in college or fresh out of high school, and they're not the most reliable people. So it created a big headache for me, and I thought, if I'm going to be in business for myself, maybe I don't want to be in this industry. So I sold my interest and went to waiting tables for a little bit while I tried to figure out what I wanted to do next. And it happened that my wife at the time, her best friend's boyfriend was in real estate. And we went snowboarding with them one day, and he told me that I should really get into it. This was previous to the crash. And he was telling me that, you can make $100,000 a year, no problem. All you got to do is show up and answer the phone, and it's so easy and so much fun. And I thought, I'll give this a shot. And, of course, by the time I had gotten licensed, the market was just about to crash.
Oh.
And once I got my feet wet, it crashed. And I actually look at that as more of a blessing than anything, because I had to learn how to generate business.
Yeah.
In tough times, which makes it really easy now that the market is recovering.
There were a lot of people, pre-crash who were putting up big numbers, and they thought they were rock stars. As soon as that crash happened, we found out who was a rock star and who was not, and most of them were not. Okay. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about how you got through that, unless you think it's instructive. I don't want to go talk about how you got through that crash. But where I cut you off to take you back to the liver story, you started talking about that you were learning how to do internet marketing.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because that's really what led us to where we're at today.
Okay.
Most of the agents that were producing in that office I was in had been around for a really long time. They had huge spheres of influence, and they had, lived their entire life in this area, so they knew everybody. And then the others that were kind of coming up were doing, open houses and taking floor time, and they were doing all right, but they definitely weren't doing what I wanted to do. They were just kind of barely making it and waiting for the market to return. And I just kind of felt like I can't wait around for the market to return. I want to have some control over my destiny here. So I started taking a look at it and realizing that, consumers don't need real estate agents to look at homes anymore. They have sites like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com. They can look at every picture that's on the MLS. They can find out everything they need to know about the home and really identify the homes they want to see before they even contact an agent. So I kind of thought, if I can get in front of these people before they contact an agent, when they're just starting the process, then I'm going to be that much further ahead of the game, and I'll probably have a good chance of catching a lot more business. So that's why I started focusing on internet marketing and search engine optimization, social media optimization, blogging, pay-per-click ads, Facebook targeted advertising, that kind of stuff. And it took me a while to figure it out. I actually taught myself how to write HTML coding so I could put up some kind of cool websites and landing pages and set up some lead capture mechanisms. And the further I got along, the better I got at it. And I got to a point where I was generating 300-plus leads a month by myself. And so that was obviously way more than any one person can handle. So what I started doing was working on converting them, but never really meeting with them. I'd convert these new registrations on my website, and once I had them converted, I would pair them up with another agent and take a referral fee off of it. And those agents were happy because they weren't generating business of their own, and I was happy because I was able to convert a lot more business and not be showing homes 24/7. And eventually I realized that it made a lot more sense to start my own brand and actually bring these agents on as, a permanent piece of the brand and someone who actually represents my brand and what we stand for. And so that's kind of how I got into starting my first team.
So,
and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, how much of when you taught yourself this, right? So, you really started at I don't know, you're an interesting character in the sense that you taught yourself how to do social media, Google pay-per-click, internet marketing, SEO, all that stuff. And you taught yourself how to write HTML code so you can throw up some websites. Now, out of all those buckets, from SEO to social, whatever, what of those buckets is still working for you today?
Oh gosh, all of them.
All of them. Okay.
They're all working fantastically. Yeah, we diversified quite a bit. So we've gotten plenty of strategies from not just our internet marketing, but all the way down to door knocking. And the way we do things is quite a bit different than the competition. Even down to door knocking. But yeah, just about every one of them works pretty darn well. And if we find that one isn't performing that well, we'll usually pull back on that particular strategy and, reinvest our money into something that's producing better numbers.
Okay. No, and I'm extremely excited to talk with you because, I'm fundamentally an internet marketer myself. And I think what I do see out there is that 95%, 99% of real estate agents don't think like internet marketers at all. They think like, and no. I think there's a lot of room for people to learn and grow in this. So let's go back. Here's the setup that I want you to talk through kind of. Okay. So okay. If you go back 2 years ago, home value sites were just, some people were early with it and they were working. People were getting, 1,000, 1,500 leads a month from home value sites. Now, as realtors ruin everything, and as you start to get density in the market and everybody's got a home value site, those start to work less. So if we go back to when you started, what were some of the things that worked really well and now is being less effective?
Okay, so I guess what have we kind of pulled out of then?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect, easy way.
Okay, well, Craigslist was a huge asset for us in the beginning.
Okay,
or I guess I should say for me because it was just me in the beginning. It was fantastic. I made some agreements with some agents within my brokerage, and a few agents I had great relationships outside of my brokerage, and that was a little bit more tricky. But I made these agreements so I could advertise their listings. And for the most part, these agents were really excited because I was giving their listing out. It was something that they showed their seller to show that they were giving them more exposure. And for the most part, I was bringing them buyers for their listings. So, it was a great relationship. And I was posting anywhere from about 150 to maybe 250 or so ads a day on Craigslist.
Wow.
And I did that through a couple of different accounts to a couple of different websites. So that way I wasn't putting out the exact same ad to the exact same website and getting all of my ads flagged. And then, of course, I'm sure you know, maybe it was about 2 years ago, that Craigslist changed their terms of use, and they took out all the HTML tags and made it a little bit more difficult because you couldn't add a link to your ad that somebody could click on and go back to your website. So now we have to recommend that they visit our website for additional information, but we put the our company hotline number in there, and we offer them a few pictures of the listing and a brief description. One of the things about Craigslist, it has petered off quite a bit here in the last year or two. It does still produce for us, and we will occasionally pick up some pretty decent leads from Craigslist. But one of the things that I notice is that most of the people that are posting ads, or most of the realtors posting ads on Craigslist, do it the wrong way. They give away everything. So they leave the consumer literally no reason to give them a call or contact them. It's essentially they're getting the same thing that they get on Zillow or Trulia. And so, that's, I guess, one suggestion I'd make if anyone is going to venture out into Craigslist is to hold back a little bit. We don't advertise the price for two reasons. One, we want them to call us. And the other reason is because the prices change, and every time it does, we have to go through and find that ad and change the price, and it can create a lot of extra work for us.
Yeah.
So, we don't advertise the price. We will tell them about, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage the home offers. And like I said, we'll give a listing description and a few pictures, but that's about it. If they want to know more, if they want to know where the property is located, or if they want to know the current price, they've got to call one of our agents.
Yep, brilliant, man. That is such a great strategy. You got to hold something back for sure. I 100% agree with that. And going back to when you could add HTML into your title or subject or whatever. I remember I used to be able to do it where I could literally bold my ad and create white space for 2 or 3 lines above and below my thing. So it would be, house, and all of a sudden it would be white space, my listing, and then, or I was flipping homes, or so my property, and then white space. I do remember when that went away. Okay, so that's a great tip on Craigslist, but you are pulling back from Craigslist. What else, again, because I want people, here's why I'm asking it in this way, Bo, is I want people to know where they should try to spend their dollars and their time and where not to. So you're the perfect person to find out. So Craigslist, you're pulling back, and you gave a tip for that. Where else have you seen less effectiveness that you're pulling back?
Well, outside of internet marketing, we've pulled back considerably on open houses. We will do one if the seller requests one, and we will, pick up buyers. I mean, anyone who's in real estate knows that the open house isn't for the seller; it's really for you to pick up new business. And we'll explain that to our sellers so they understand. Some of them still want us to do them, and that's totally fine. It just means extra business for us if we do happen to have someone stop by. But we're a little bit more proactive. I kind of feel like an open house is more of a passive strategy. You're just kind of sitting there hoping that somebody stops by. So we've kind of replaced our open house strategy with a door knocking strategy. And kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's about how you do it. I kind of came up with a new strategy for door knocking one year because I'd had 2 agents come by my neighborhood and knock on my door in the span of 12 months. And I just was thinking how awful it was, and what a huge waste of time it was for them, because they came by and they basically handed me a business card and said that they were the local area expert, and if I was interested in buying or selling, I should give them a call. And I thought, okay, well, you haven't really given me any kind of a value proposition here. There's nothing that gets me excited, and you're directly asking me for business. And it's kind of like when you walk into a store and the sales associate comes up and says, is there anything I can help you with? Your knee-jerk response is, no, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt when these guys knocked on my door. So I thought there's got to be a better way to do this. And so we kind of changed that strategy a little bit. And we started approaching people in neighborhoods with, I guess, a couple of different approaches. The first one would be if we list a new home, we'll go out and knock the first, 200 or 300 doors surrounding that home. And the script kind of goes like this. We'll say, hey, my name is Bo Appele. I'm with the Ohana Realty Group. I just listed a house down the street here at 123 Main Street. I don't know if you know Bob and Mary, but they just put this house on the market with us. And as a courtesy to the neighbors, we like to let everyone know that there's going to be a little bit more increased traffic through the neighborhood. You may see some people walking around the house and peering in the windows. And like I said, as a courtesy, we just like to let you know so you're not concerned or, you're not afraid that it's maybe a prowler or anything. And so we wanted to give you a heads up. And, hey, while I'm here, I thought I'd give you a chance to choose your next neighbor. Do you happen to know of anybody who might be interested in purchasing this home? And in a lot of cases, these people will say, oh, yeah, I was just talking to my friend who was over for dinner last night, and she's thinking about moving up this way. Here's her number. Or, here, give me a flyer and I'll let her know. So, we ended up picking up some good business that way, and the funny thing is the guard goes down right away when they realize that I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just coming out, like I said, as courtesy to let you know that there are going to be some people coming through this neighborhood who aren't usually here.
Yeah.
And so the guard goes down, and they open right up, and they start talking to us. And the funny thing is on the flyer that we hand them when we knock on the door, it has a picture of the house and, some information about it, and, of course, our contact information. And one of the most common questions is, well, what do you think my house is worth? Or, oh, we've been thinking about selling. Would you mind, doing a market analysis for us or taking a look? Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So, like I said, it's not so confrontational. We're not coming in and immediately asking them for their business, and as a result, they end up asking us.
No, I think that's. I was just say that's a great strategy, and I think you are approaching it. And I think there's lots of ways to do that. I mean, you can be like, hey, listen, my name's Bo. I just took over this area, whatever, and we're organizing, to get all the neighbors to know one another. We're organizing a giant block, yard sale. Or block sale, in 4 weeks from now, would you like to participate? Or, hey, I'm working with a school and we're doing a food drive. And oh, by the way, so I think that's a great approach.
Yeah, we also have a couple of other strategies for door knocking. For instance, sometimes we'll list, it actually happens twice this month alone, where we'll list a house, and on the first day we'll get multiple offers over full price. And that's always great because the sign goes up, and the very same day the sold sign goes on top of it. And so what we'll do is we'll immediately, within a couple of days, get out and start door knocking the neighborhood. And first couple hundred doors just around that listing, and we'll let the neighbors know, hey, my name is Bo Appele. I'm with the Ohana Realty Group. We just listed Bob and Sally's house down the street here at 123 Main Street. And we put it on the market and received multiple offers over full price on the first day. And as a result of our high-tech internet marketing strategies, we've procured a large number of buyers looking to live in this neighborhood. Unfortunately, we don't have enough listings to meet their needs. Do you happen to know of anybody else who might be thinking about selling in this neighborhood? And again, the guard goes down because I'm not asking you to list your house. And occasionally they'll say, oh, yeah, the lady across the street is talking about selling. Or, the more common response is, really? Over full price on the first day?
Right.
What do you think my house is worth?
Right.
So we end up picking up a few more listings as a result almost every time.
That's amazing. What is there a way to hack that, Bo? Let's say that somebody wants to to door knock. They think that strategy is great, but they don't have a listing, and they didn't sell a house. What again? Is there a way to kind of hack that? And what's your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. Well, one, you can borrow a listing. You can door knock for somebody else's listing.
Yep.
But one of the things that we'll do if we don't have a listing in the area and we haven't listed, we're not listing a house there. We will create a flyer that has some information about a few buyers who are looking specifically for a home in that area. So, have just their first names because we don't want to give away their private information.
Yep.
And it'll have, a little bit of information about what they're looking for, say a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with 2,000 plus square feet, their price point, their price range, and their time frame. Right now, 1 to 3 months, 6+ months, whatever it is. And we'll get out and kind of use the same script that, we due to our high-tech internet marketing strategies, we've procured a high volume of buyers who are looking in this area and would like to live in your neighborhood. Unfortunately, we don't have any listings that meet their needs. Do you happen to know of anybody who might be thinking about selling their home this year? And so it's essentially the same script, just a slightly different strategy.
Got it. Okay. Now, are you still? What are you doing in the world of look, so SEO is dead, and maybe not for a guy like you. With Google, with all their penguin updates and everything else, a lot of people who are relying on SEO got murdered. Are you still finding success, or what's your thoughts around SEO?
I love SEO, and the thing is the people I think that are getting murdered are the cheaters, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that they found a way to kind of hack the system and cheat the coding. And once Google updates their algorithms, then they close that window, and those people kind of lose out. So SEO is hard work. If you're going to do it right and you're going to stick around, then you've got to put a lot of time into it. And that means blogging, and not just blogging once a week, but blogging every day, and creating great, fresh, unique content, and keywording it right, and like I said, just doing it regularly. I mean, that's one of the things that I've identified in training and coaching our agents is, the discipline to do the same thing every day and to follow the system. And I think that SEO is fantastic if you're willing to put the work in. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
So it really depends.
I think the piece with that, if you're going to blog and if you're going to create content, for example, the deal is people have a hard time measuring their success. So they're like, oh man, I'm spending an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever it is, and they can't clearly put a transaction to that channel, and they just quit. And I think that's a mistake. You gotta put in the time. Just like door knocking or sending out mailers. It takes time to seed that kind of thing. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, that's one of the things that we're always talking to our agents about. It's the farmer's mentality. You're planting the seed today to harvest your crop 3 to 4 months from now.
Right.
And if you can practice that and focus on that delayed gratification, you'll get results. But it's the same thing with blogging and sending out mailers and just about any other strategy. It takes time, and you're right. The biggest mistake that most people make when it comes to blogging is they blog for a couple of months, and then they come back to me and say, I posted a blog post every day for 60 days straight, and I'm still not ranking. Yeah. And I'll have to explain to them that, hey, you've got to do it for 6+ months. Do it for 6 months every day, and you'll start seeing results. And then keep doing the same thing every day to see those results get even better. But, that's, I think, society today, and really a lot of real estate agents, they're looking for the here and now. They can't look 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road. And I'm always telling our agents, whatever you're doing today represents a paycheck 3 months from now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think? I'll just tell you what I'm doing, and everybody can learn from what I'm. So number one, I think there's ways to hack and not to use that word too many times, but to be deliberate about how you spread content, right? You can create content, your blog, create it, put it on your Toby Salgado or Bo Appele a website, but then you promote it. If you're smart about it, you promote that content. Let me back up. Here's what I tell people to do, Monty. Sorry, Monty. Bo. Sorry, buddy. I just got a PayPal payment from this guy, Monty. Okay, look. So create, figure out a topic that you want to talk about. Create a video. Post that video on YouTube. Then take some of that content that you have on your video, take a bulk of it, 60, 70, 80% of it, write a blog post, post that on your Toby Salgado Bo Appele blog. Take a smaller portion of that and or maybe even the whole thing, but I would say a smaller portion, put it on your G Plus profile, and just keep ripping it down until finally, you only have 140 characters and you drop it out on Twitter. Right. And if you can do that, and, so you post it on LinkedIn, you post it on Facebook, right? You are, a member of a bunch of different groups on Facebook, and, and you promote that or point people to your content. That's how you're going to get much, much faster results than trying to use all the right keywords for Spokane and hope that you get some Google juice, 6 months, 3 months, whatever from now.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you're just relying on those keywords, you got to figure that you're competing with these, multi-million-dollar companies like Zillow and Trulia who have huge advertising budgets. So there's no way that you can compete with them if you're just going head to head. So you need to go further than just keywording your blog the right way. And like you said, it's a matter of sharing it on the different social media platforms, creating a video, doing everything all the way down to Twitter. And that gives you a little bit of an edge on the companies like Zillow, because their blog post isn't necessarily going to be spread out that much.
Yeah.
And you're reaching so many more people, and with social media, it's so fantastic because you're reaching them on a more personal level. And a lot of these people are people that that they're past clients or their friends, and they have no problem sharing your content with one of their friends, especially if it's something that makes sense and is kind of pertains to something that they recently spoke about.
See, and I'll tell you, like for you, Bo, like you have all this great stuff, and I don't want to talk too much because I want to get all the nuggets out of you that we can. But you have all this great stuff, that's great knowledge. The NAR, right? Average agent is a woman, 57 years old, right? You know all this stuff, Bo, that she doesn't. So places like Inman, right? I have a deal with Inman. Like I can release my content. This interview right here, I can give it to Inman, and I'll reach a ton of people through Inman's platform. We used to have a deal with Realtor.com, and 2 times a month they would release an episode of ours. Now, some crybaby girl threw a fit about some of our content, and then they pulled our relationship, which was crap. But again, for an agent, if you want to get business, it's not just talking to your farm. Reach an agent. You're in Washington, Spokane. You can reach an agent and develop a relationship with somebody in Washington D.C. and that person, you can get referrals from that person. So let's get back on to social. When I say social, when people think of social, they think of Facebook, and maybe Twitter. When you say social media, what does that mean to you, Bo?
Oh gosh, that means the big dogs. That means Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google Plus, LinkedIn, all of those sites. But it's not necessarily just a matter of being present there. It's engaging people, and it's speaking in terms of the other person's interest.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest mistakes that most agents make on social media is they get out there and all their posts are about the new listing that they just had, or their recent closing, or how many homes they sold this week. It's all about me. It's all, it's something that if you don't know this person, you're like, okay, this is annoying. I know that you think you're fantastic, but I'm not interested in listening to you talk about yourself anymore.
That's right.
And that's the big mistake that people make. Yeah. And so it's speaking in terms of the other person's interest, and that's a quote from the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a fantastic read.
Yeah.
It's actually required reading for all of our agents. And if you can use that strategy on social media platforms, you get so much further. So, it's engaging people and being interested in what their needs and their wants are, and reaching them, like I said, on a more personal level there. So you're not just some company or some agent who's just spewing information about, how great you are, or how many listings you have, or this great new listing that you took. If somebody's not in the market for a home, they're likely not to pay attention to that. But if you can offer them something of value, something that, they may be interested in, whether or not they're looking to buy a home, they're going to like it, and they're going to share it. And every time they like it or share it, all their friends see it. And there's bound to be somebody in their network who's looking to buy or sell.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And look, and the only thing I'd add to that is, when people, if you are that NAR 57-year-old woman, on Facebook, there's a couple rules of thumb. Number one, it's basically like a cocktail party, right? You never want to talk with that person that rolls up to you at a party and says, "Hey, Bo, what's up? My name's Toby. This is what I do. This is why I'm so awesome. I just got this listing. Look, pal, I'm not interested." You have to add value, and the rule of thumb is, if you're going to be on Facebook on your personal page, it should be 80% personal, 20% business. And too many people literally flip it the other way around or go, 100%. So anyhow, okay. So how, in terms of let me go back. You guys are doing 130 deals. Okay. I have a couple questions for you. One, out of that 130 deals that you did do, what percentage of those, or what number of those could you contribute to, SEO, social, blogging versus your internet marketing stuff, Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads, or I guess what I'm talking about is free versus paid.
Free versus paid. Well, on any given year, about 46% of our closed transactions are a result of free advertising or free sources.
Wow.
So, and that's kind of bulked together with, so it's not necessarily just engaging somebody on Facebook and picking up a referral or picking them up as a client. It can also be something as simple as meeting somebody in the grocery store, but we bulk all that together. About 46% of all of our transactions are a result of a free source.
That is amazing, dude. That's amazing. I mean, I think so many people out there.
Well, I was just going to say that, that's what I tell new agents is, you'd be amazed at how much business you can do for absolutely nothing. You don't have to invest a dime into advertising to do a substantial amount of business. Now, eventually, if you want to take it to the next level, you're going to have to start spending some money, but I always encourage people, start with the free stuff.
So I agree. So look, let me ask you this then. I mean, you've been at this for a while. What if I'm gonna, and I don't know if you coach anybody on this stuff, Bo, but if I'm gonna hire you or a guy like you to say, hey, show me how to generate 46% of my business for free, which in your case would be about 60 or so listings. How long does it? If I'm doing all the right stuff, how long? What's a runway for me to actually generate business? 10 deals a year from these sorts of channels.
Well, 10 deals a year I think should be really easy,
okay.
And it really depends on your particular situation. But I have new agents that will start and they'll generate 3 or 4 deals in their first 3 months, and part of that is because they're getting out and using some of the strategies that we teach them as far as engaging people out at the grocery store. Costco is one of our huge lead sources, believe it or not. We have one agent in particular who happens to be my father, who picks up a ton of business from Costco. He knows that every time he goes to Costco, he's actually making money. He's not spending money. So, I tell you, if you employ the free strategies and you're disciplined and you do it every day and you follow the system, there's no reason why within your first 3 months of being in business or trying these strategies, you shouldn't be able to pick up at least 2 transactions. And, over the course of a year, we're looking at somewhere around, 15, 16, 17 transactions if you do it right for free.
So what does your dad do? Tell us about what I guess your dad's he's an high I. I'm sure he's a very gregarious guy, and he loves talking with people. What does he do? Just he walks around and hangs out where the samples are getting doled out?
Well, kind of. It's funny. His nickname in our family is Mr. Aloha. And in Hawaiian, aloha has several meanings. It's, it could be hello, goodbye, and it can also mean love. And it's got a deeper spiritual meaning. But basically, the aloha spirit in Hawaii is that warm spirit, that, that kind of piece that you can't describe when you go to Hawaii and you come back and go, wow, the people there are just so friendly. Well, that's the aloha spirit.
Okay.
And that's who he is. He is a high I. He gets out there and he just engages people. So he'll be walking by and he'll see something in somebody's cart and say, hey, where'd you get that? Mm-hmm. And they'll tell him what aisle it was in, and he'll ask them a few questions and get them talking and speak in terms of the other person's interest. And before you know it, they're chatting about other things. And one of the questions that we train all of our agents to ask, one of the most important questions that you can ask anybody that you meet is, what do you do for a living? Because the natural response after they respond is, well, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And then it gives you an opportunity to say, well, I'm in real estate. And of course, you can follow that up with whatever you want, but in most cases, you end the conversation by saying, hey, by the way, do you happen to know of anybody who's looking to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate that I can help?
Yeah.
And so that's really all he does, is he just strikes up conversations with people and makes sure that he's letting them do most of the talking and he's facilitating the conversation. And when, that's another thing we train our agents on is when you're engaging people, not only speak in terms of the other person's interest, but pretend that you're on a first date. When you go on a first date, you should ask a lot of questions. You want to get to know the person, but you also want them to talk, because the more they talk, the more comfortable they feel with you, the more they project themselves on you, and the more memorable you become. And you're also giving them one of the greatest gifts you can ever give a human being. You're letting them be heard. Everybody from a little child to a 90-year-old man wants to be heard. And when you can give somebody that gift, they really remember you, and they like you.
Yeah.
They like you a lot. And that's what we train our agents to do, and that's exactly what he does, and he picks up a ton of business.
And I'll tell you something. So, that's my experience with this show. I have people on my show that as I told you, and we've had people that make $3-4 million a year. They're very, very busy people. But guess what? After they come on my show, they'll take my phone call. So I like that Toby kid, man. I spent an hour with him, and hopefully we've had some fun and all that stuff. So I totally agree with that. Look, we have to start wrapping up. Dang, man. So roll into what should we know? We've talked about some of the free stuff, and if we get into the online paid stuff, right? If we and I'm going to let you make the choice, right? Because we can talk about Google pay-per-click, we can talk about Facebook ads, some of the ways to deploy some marketing dollars, but where you don't need a lot of marketing dollars. But the issue that I have with Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads or whatever, it's always on the wrong side, right? It's always on the buyer side. And as you know, Bo, you can handle 7 to 10 listings for the same amount of time and energy that you handle one buyer. So you tell me, and you tell the audience, where do you think you get out the most value to them? Talking about how to properly implement a Google pay-per-click campaign or Facebook, or one of your strategies to go and find sellers?
Oh gosh, well, that's a really tough one. One of the things that I really enjoy is the Facebook targeted advertising. Okay. That's such a phenomenal tool that so many people really don't know much about. You can target a very, very specific demographic. So, one of the things that we'll do is, for instance, we had this house last year. It was a luxury home in a higher-end neighborhood. And what we did is we kind of went around and door knocked and asked, started conversations with people to try and find out, what the demographic of that neighborhood was. And we found out there were a lot of doctors there, and a lot of them worked at this big hospital that was only a couple miles away. So what we did is we created a Facebook targeted ad that went out to people with a PhD who were working in this hospital and making over $100,000 a year. And it narrowed the list down to under 1,000 people. So the best part about that is, one, we're not wasting our money on ads that are getting in front of people who just wouldn't ever be able to afford this home or wouldn't be interested in it. And we're targeting people that probably know somebody who already lives in this neighborhood. And so it gets us in front of the right people and saves our marketing budget. And as a result, we sold the homes pretty quickly, and then we also got a referral out of it when we sent them over to Seattle to buy a home.
Got it. Yeah, and I will say that. And Facebook is not great, at least in my experience. It's not great at when you look at the economics of, hey, you got to make 100K or more. They're not great at that. But I think if you create that audience, talk to everybody a little bit about. So number one, people don't know how to do that. Number one, most people don't. Number two, people don't know how to create a custom audience or a lookalike audience. Have I don't want to put you on the spot, Bo. Have you played with custom audiences or lookalike audiences at all?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. I mean, it is a complicated tool, and we do play with custom audiences occasionally. I think it's really about making your ad stand out, because even if you look at Google pay-per-click, you get on there and every single ad says the same exact thing. So it's about making yourself stand out a little bit more and catching somebody's eye, whether that's through an image or through the wording that you're using. I was at a conference a couple of years ago, and I was fortunate enough to hear Ben Kinney speak. I'm sure you know who that is.
Yep.
And one of the things that he was doing on his Google pay-per-click ads is he was putting a picture of a house on there, and it was upside down. So as you're going through, you're looking at these ads, and you see, all these pictures of houses, and then you see one that's upside down. That's out of place. So your eye is quickly drawn to it. And it was some kind of an ad for people who were in a short sale situation. And he just talked about how much traffic he got from that ad. And I just thought, that's genius. I really got to find a way to make my ad stand out so that your eye is drawn to it and it's not the same as everything else that you see.
Yeah. I mean, copy and imagery is everything. And it's even, it's even, having a title in there, right? Like it's anyhow. Yeah. That's a whole, I mean, that skill is a whole skill. I mean, you know what I mean? That's why ad agencies exist. But, so all this stuff again is on the buyer side. What are you doing other than your unique door knocking? What are you doing to go out and get listings?
Well, we have a prospecting night every week where our agents will call expireds, and each MLS is different. So for ours, for instance, you can find the homeowner's contact information right there on the listing itself, by clicking on the tax button. And we pay for a subscription to peoplefinders.com, where we'll take their name and we'll search it, with the city that they live in, and we'll try and find, any available phone numbers for them. And then our agents will contact them. If none of those numbers work, or if they're unable to reach the seller, then we'll put them into a drip campaign where we'll start mailing to them. Because we know your house was just listed, it expired, or it was released, so there's a motivation to sell there. We just need to get in front of you at the right time. So we'll put them into a drip campaign where we snail mail marketing pieces to them. But every Wednesday evening, our agents get together and they call all the expireds from that week. And there are some agents who will take their expired listings and continue to call them if they haven't reached them right away and bring them back the next Wednesday. But that's probably one of our primary sources of listings outside of door knocking.
Okay. Now, when you door knock, that's your farm. Now, do you? Because I know I don't know if you've ever used land voice data. Have you ever used land voice data?
No, I have not.
So land voice, if you have a farm, they can literally get you the phone numbers to everybody in your farm. Have you ever, because ideally with a farm, right, you knock it, you mail it, you call it. In terms of calling your farm, is that a path that you do?
You know, if we can find a viable number, I mean, we use people finders, and we can always look up the homeowner's legal name on the county assessor's site. So if we can get a good number for them, we will call them. But for the most part, getting out and getting face-to-face with them, we find to be much more effective because, you know, it's easy to hang up on somebody on the phone, but if they're face-to-face with you at the door, it's a lot harder to close the door on their face. And then, of course, the other side of that is how we approach them. You know, we approach them not asking them for anything, but asking them if they know of anybody who might be interested.
Right. And look, I'll let you. So for everybody, as well as you, Bo, I have a link. You can go and try LandVoice out. I fully endorse them for sure. And you can just go to landvoicedata.com/superagentslive, and they'll let you try it out for free. So anyhow.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, it's like, and if you decide to pay for it, it's like $60. I'll bet you, doing the math on dropping People Finder and all the labor, I bet it's a way better channel for you guys. All right, we have to wrap up. And I normally ask 3 of the same questions. Well, maybe we can just power through them. So look, I always ask the same 3 questions. The first one is this. You are a guy, you're a self-taught guy. I know that. And, you know, and you've been, you know, whether it's HTML or social media, but for you, Bo, who has been a mentor to you?
Well, I've got quite a few. As I was starting to build my business, I sought out the top agents in our market, and I asked all of them if I could take them to lunch, obviously individually. And I had a set list of questions that I asked them. So I did develop a few local mentors here. Another one is Chris Angel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. Not the magician, but the real estate coach.
No.
I met him here locally. He's a real estate coach, and I think he also has a podcast out there now, too. But he's been a mentor to me, and he's a great guy with a lot of insight and knowledge about the real estate industry. Outside of that, I have mentors who probably don't even know that they're my mentors. People like Ben Kinney, who I have heard speak several times. I'm on his mailing list, so I read up on him quite a bit. I think I told you I read Pat Hyben's book here recently. And so a lot of people like that, high producers that are nationally recognized, I like to read up on and study as much as possible, and I reach out to them. Another great one is Lori Ballin down in Vegas. She sent me a few referrals, and she's got some phenomenal systems, and she's just dominating her market. So that's somebody that I know personally, although we've never met face-to-face. But I basically, you know, I'm self-taught. When people ask me, you know, where'd you learn all this stuff, I say the University of Google.
Yeah.
You can learn just about anything off of Google and YouTube. But also just by tracking down people that have what I want and asking them questions and kind of bugging them until they give me the answer.
And it's, you know what, and the deal is, you know, most of those people, whoever, you know, most people are willing to share. I mean, that's why, you know, I mean, we've been able to do what we've done with this show with who we've done it with. So listen, I always ask for a book recommendation. I'm always curious as to what guys like you are reading. And here's a setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Oh, gosh. It's going to be one of the 3 that all of our agents are required to read.
Okay.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is one of my all-time favorites. I'm on my 9th time reading it, and I absolutely love that book. It's like a Bible to me. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is another fantastic one. And probably one of my all-time favorite books is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. That one in particular is great for mindset, and, you know, if you're going to be successful in real estate, you're going to have to deal with some ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs, and having a strong mindset and being focused and knowing what your goals are and what steps you're taking towards those goals are what's going to get you there. And that book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, really helps you to stay focused and helps you to understand just how the mind works. And how maybe your self-talk and some of the things that you're saying to yourself or saying about yourself when you talk to other people really affect your outcome. And that's one of the reasons why it's required reading for us.
Yeah, and I have not read that one. I'm going to go grab it. And look, for everybody, I couldn't agree more. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, you need to read it. Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, you need to read that. And I'm going to add, for me, I'm going to read this Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And it looks like there is a 346
book can work miracles in your.
There's a 6-hour. Is that right? That's right. There is a 6-hour video on YouTube of this. Now, I don't know what this is. I don't know if somebody's reading.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody is reading it or it's a class. But yeah, I just Googled it. So, Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Go check it out. And listen, everybody, if you haven't, you know you can get a free copy, right? You guys, just use our link for any one of these books or any other book. I just got an 86-hour The Power Broker about this guy who built New York. It was an $86 book on Audible. I got it for free using our link. So just go to audibletrial.com/superagentslive and get a free copy. Now, my last question for you, Bo, is this. Do you have any personal habits that you feel have contributed to your success?
Well, people are always telling me that they admire my thirst for knowledge, and I guess that would be one of my personal habits that I can credit some of our success to. I'm always on YouTube. I'm always on Google. I think of a new strategy that I want to get into, or I have a hot new idea that I think will generate more business, and I will spend hours online at night watching videos and reading blogs and reading forums and just researching different strategies until I get a good feel for it and can kind of teach myself how to put that strategy into play. So one of the things that my agents and a lot of my friends make fun of me for is they'll see that I'm online at 2 or 3 in the morning, and that's because I'm having a hard time sleeping because I'm too excited about some kind of a new idea or strategy, and I'm researching it. So, I'd say that's probably my best success habit.
Yeah, no, that's great. And look, I mean, so many people have come on the show and say, listen, you need to be learning based. You need to be learning based. You always need to be learning and growing. So I love that one. Well, look, I'm talking fast. I'm trying to keep it within our 60-minute time frame. Here's the deal. I always encourage my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this episode, and I know they have, I always ask them to reach out and say thank you to you, my guest, for taking time out of your busy day. So, Bo, where can people find you?
Well, they can always go to our website, and that's www.ohanarealtygroup.com. They can feel free to email me. My email is B-O, at ohanarealtygroup.com. And I don't know if I ought to give out my cell phone number here. You tell me.
No, man. Yeah, don't do that. There's
okay.
There's plenty of ways to. It's just hold on. I just want to say this. It's a lot like how your Craigslist thing, right? Don't make it too easy for them. If they want to know something from you, right? I'm sure you're going to get people asking you questions. Make them work for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great point. Another place they can find me that I don't know why I didn't mention this in the first place is on my Facebook account. It's facebook.com/BoKnowsRealEstate.
Got it.
I don't know how I got that one, but I was lucky enough to get it.
Yeah. So listen, everybody, if and I'm sure, Bo, you're always looking for talent. So if you're in and around the Spokane area or the Tri-Cities area of Washington, reach out to Bo. I'm sure he's looking for talent. And for me, Bo, I'll be the first one to kick off the thank you train. Thanks, man. Thanks for taking the time out.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Sure. All right, buddy. Hey, well, let's stay in touch, and I'll send you a link about that thing we talked about prior to recording.
Sounds great.
See you, bud.
All right, thanks, Toby.
Let's go.